location. I didn't know.
Well, good evening and welcome to Tigers Talk here on to Hull and Back podcast and on Humberwave Radio. We're live across the area and across the world on whatever platform you're watching or listening to us on. Good to be back for a normal Tigers Talk this week. We've had a couple of special guests over the last couple of weeks. Kieran Maguire was our special guest a couple of weeks ago, and then Phil Brown, our special guest last week. A normal Tigers Talk tonight. We'll be talking about Hull City's opening game against Manchester United. We'll be talking about the signings that Hull City have made, and maybe about the signings that haven't been made. All that to come on tonight's show, and we'll have your comments as well. So if you are joining us, wherever you're joining us from, then please put a comment on, and if it's clean and it's acceptable, then we will put your comment up on the screen. Good evening to you, Paul.
Good evening, Adey.
Evening to you, Jan.
Was that me?
You got your earphones in.
That was you, Jan. Yeah. Good evening, Jan.
Yeah.
No, because it's worse with the earphones. Yeah, good evening. I'm back in the land of the living, just.
She's back in the land of the living. She sent me a message back saying she's jet lagged. So jet lagged Jan is on tonight for you. Evening to you, Becca.
Yeah. Evening, Adey.
Are you jet lagged, Becca, or are you okay?
I'm just about there. I think it's been a bit of a rough week, but we'll live in. We'll roll.
I will say evening to you now, Huffy. Evening to you. Evening to you, Lee Eade. Evening to you, Lee Walker. And evening to you, Simon Wilson. Good to have you tuned in. Evening to you, Harry. Good to have you all tuned in and watching tonight. If you've got any comments about what you're thinking about the upcoming season, about the signings that we've made, about the signings that we haven't made, about this game against Manchester United, which is a 12:30 kickoff on Saturday, then please feel free to get in touch with us and leave us a comment. I'll let you WhatsApp us as well. If you haven't, if you're listening on the radio, you can WhatsApp tonight 01482 772 663. And I have to say, as always, we're in association with the carmusgo.co.uk. So if you want to sell your car or you want to sell your van, then contact the carmusgo.co.uk and they'll try and make it as easy as they possibly can for you. So what are your thoughts after the friendly game on Saturday, Paul? You saw a few of the new players have a run out. Do friendlies tell you anything?
Well, I think it's mainly to give them a run out, as you've just said. I didn't think we played badly. I thought it was, obviously a pre-season friendly. Got a bit spicier in the second half when Matt Bairney was fouled and he wanted to get the kid and all this. So it got a bit spicier, but I thought the goalkeeper looked very confident. I haven't seen a goalkeeper like that looking that confident for City for a long while. And I thought Crooks and Slater did a good job in midfield. I think, Crooksy, for all he's getting on a bit, his touch is really good. And I think Slater did his usual running about, hassling and harrying. I thought he had a good game. The new lads, I don't think the one who was up front with Matt Bairney is really a forward. So I think it's hard to judge him. And it's obviously hard. First game, they've got to all gel together. I think we missed a little bit of Miller first half because I don't think Giles had as good a game as he could have had. And I think he likes playing alongside Liam Miller. So that maybe didn't help him. But it was just, pre-season friendly. I don't take a lot of stock with them, to be quite honest, other than getting the lads up to fitness. The two lads who came on in the centre-back second half, they looked, decent and useful. I don't think anybody had a particularly bad game. Ajayi's passing was a little bit off, I thought, especially, first half. He couldn't seem to pass to the right person, but I think he liked the physical challenge that he had with their centre-forward. I think he enjoys that sort of game. Obviously, it was just one of them games. I mean, the keeper's made a couple of good saves, but it was nothing to shout home about. We'll have to improve on that. But I think, obviously he's changed the team just after half time. It's hard to judge it, isn't it? I think it's just a pre-season friendly. Luckily, it was home. It was a decent atmosphere. 9,000 spectators there, which wasn't bad for a pre-season friendly. So I quite enjoyed it, really.
Yeah, I didn't mind it, to be quite honest with you. I thought it was all right for a 0-0. I didn't think it was a bad one. Got to say evening to you. No, sorry, not that one. One above. Evening to you, Louise. Good evening to you. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Marshy says that away keeper kit is all pink. Looking at those latest photos, who was it that said there was happy that I think it was Andy Fee who said it was happy that it was a green goalkeeping top this season, and then they go giving it all pink. Andy Fee will be at the training ground tomorrow afternoon for Humberwave Radio. He's going to that press conference that Sergey is giving tomorrow at the training ground, and we'll get all the information on Humberwave Radio that comes out of that press conference and get it to you as soon as we possibly can. Did you manage to see the game on Saturday, Jan, with you being across in Florida?
Yes, we did see the game. And you know what? I'm going to go back to the previous game, to the Frankfurt game then, because look at that, and then look at what Brentford hammered them, didn't they? That's scary for me.
Yes, they did. Yeah, that is
Absolutely scary for me. Am I a bedwetter? I don't know, but I'm not comfy at the minute.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I mean, it's the creativity side of it that's the problem, isn't it? You know,
well, I think it's scoring a goal. If McBurney gets injured, we're well and truly shafted, aren't we?
We are, and that is the worry at the moment. You know, you've obviously let your other two strikers go. Destan's gone. Carl Joseph's gone. You know, you've got Joffrey back in, but Joffrey's not going to be ready for a couple of games. It is knowing where them goals are coming from. And speaking of goals, I'll come to you in a second as well, Becca. Harry says we could have played for 270 minutes on Saturday and not scored. Apart from the Balumi chance, we made nothing going forward. Zalakis, Harrington and Mendy looked brilliant. I like to look at Zalakis. I was a bit worried about him, to be honest, but Saturday proved that he is definitely calm. I liked Harrington. I liked Mendy when they came on. I'm not sure whether you're going to start both of them on Saturday, to be quite honest with you. I thought Regan Slater had a really good game. I thought he looked, you know, he's one of them that you look at. We've had this before, haven't we? When we've gone from the Championship to the Premier League, and he's one of them players who you think he can make that step into the Premier League, and I don't think he'll be worried in there. I think there's a few others that probably be okay as well. Matt Crooks, he looks like he could make the step up. There's a lot of talk, as there always is, and it's always fun being a Hull City fan, isn't it, Becca? Because there's always a lot of talk about Louis Coyle, and Louis Coyle started in the Premier League, and there's some debate online again, isn't there?
There absolutely is. It's been rife this last few days, and I think a well-known journalist in the area kind of stoked that fire a bit, didn't he, knowingly for a reaction, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, we've signed options at right back. I genuinely don't think Louis Coyle is obviously first choice, but it would still be within my leadership team as captain. I think he's a brilliant captain, but you know, everyone's got a chance. Everyone, you know, whether they've been with the club for a couple of years, like Louis, like Regan, or the new through the door, everyone's at that same level playing field. They can only go out there and give it the best and do the best. And
they can.
I think Louis' pace last season at times it was worrying, and that's, you've got to have pace in your boots, and I think that's one of the things the club's done well through pre-season is trying to attract players that have got pace, that can keep up with that press.
We haven't got any pace. We still haven't got any pace.
There's a little bit missing.
I think it will get better. I think at the minute it's not
the one player go that had pace, and we haven't got any.
We've got Balloum's got pace in his legs. Miller is a bit worrying, but
Miller, I thought, do you know what, Becca? Come, let's talk about Miller. Seeing as you mentioned him, I thought when Miller came on Saturday, he looked probably the best I've seen him play. Put two really good balls into the box. There was nobody on the end of them, but he put two good balls into the box. And I think maybe bringing Stroud in for him on that wing, give him a bit of a kick. And made him think a little bit more. So Miller, he's possibly the fastest player we've got in the team.
Quite possibly, yeah. And I think that's one of the things that makes that left side as strong as it does with Giles and Miller's pace. And that's what we're massively lacking down the right. I do think it'll improve. The pre-season's not an accurate gauge of how people will perform. People are really conscious of picking up injuries. They just want to get minutes be at them. They're not performing to their best and fullest potential. On Saturday, that will be the testing point of how we go. And I do think they'll turn up. What that starting lineup looks like, I'm a bit on the fence there at the minute.
Well, listen, you keep thinking about it because we'll probably ask you later on in the programme what you think the starting lineup is going to be. So get your heads thinking about what you think the starting lineup is going to be. I don't want to ask you now. We're not asking that question now, but we'll come back to it. One thing that I wanted to say, you mentioned one of the sports journalists earlier, and I just wanted to say that it seems that To Hull and Back podcast lead and other podcasts, it was the year that Hull City was formed, in case you're wondering. They tend to follow because we had Phil Brown last week, and they thought, they had Phil Brown last week. Oh, we best get Phil Brown on this week. We can't do anything for ourselves because we're not good enough to make our own things up. We have to think about what To Hull and Back podcast are doing before we do anything. So, yes, if you watch that other podcast that's got the numbers from when Hull City was formed in it, then unlucky for you, and good for tuning in tonight because you've tuned into a proper podcast, which is the best one going, in my opinion. So yes, that's my little rant over about that. I did have a little tweet about it because I wasn't very happy, because I think that, if you can't get your own guests, then don't, just copy off somebody else's. But that's just me. Sorry, I've had my rant. You can shout at me if you want, but that's my rant out the way now.
I think that's what puts us in a bit of a different category. We quite happily have healthy debate between the four of us.
No, we do.
Don't tend to get that in other places.
Well, the thing with it is that, football's all about opinions, and people who put the comments on have a different opinion a lot of the time to me, and Jan will have a different opinion, Paul will, and you will, and that's what it's all about. Because when we sit in the stands, there'll be 10 people who'll pick 10 different teams, and that's what football's all about, and that's the enjoyment of football, and hopefully that's the enjoyment of watching this podcast. So we'll try and keep it good and fun, and I'll stop moaning now and maybe get some of your comments up, because that's what it's all about.
Adey? Can I just add? Just recently, it's quite worrying, but you and I have agreed on a lot of things. That is really quite worrying. I don't know whether
that is concerning.
It is, absolutely.
It's very concerning. We don't want to agree on too much, so we'll try and disagree on a few things tonight just to make it more fun, Jan. Lee Walker says that he's going to enjoy the ride and see where the season takes him. I think you're right, Lee. That is all you can do this season, because you're not sure what's going to happen. You're not sure where it's going to go. And I think you've just got to try and enjoy it as best you can. Obviously, if you're losing every week, you don't enjoy it as much as you'd like to. But, it will be nice to see where we are at the end of the season. Simon Wilson says he's been told Harrington has been outstanding in training and will start. I quite like to look at him. Young lad, he's tall, he looks good on the ball, and I think if you're good enough, you're old enough. Has always been my view. So yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with him starting. I think I like Egan.
Yeah.
I like Egan probably more than I like Ajayi. But Egan isn't really quick enough, and that is the problem for me.
Is he really?
No, I think, and so that's the thing. So whether you start the two new ones at centre back, or whether he's going to go with the three. Now, I didn't think he would go with the three just because he hasn't done it in pre-season, but I could be wrong on that. I don't know.
I think we've done well when we've gone out with it either a back three or a back five. I would worry about starting the two new lads in the first game, just purely because they've not played in this country before. They're not going to be used to the temperament, the pressure. But then again, Ajayi and Egan, I know it's a tried and tested partnership towards the end of the season. I would potentially I would go for Egan, and I'd probably throw one of the new lads in, just to see how they get on, let them find their feet. Harrington's come in with a point to prove, you know, as a young lad. He went to the World Cup. He performed really well at the World Cup.
If it goes tits up, and I can't say that, if it goes belly up, it could destroy him, couldn't it, though?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the worry, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Listen, it's always a worry, and you can't, you know, I think when you've paid that money for a player, you know, you've got to sometimes put your trust there and trust them to have a go. And, you know, it's going to be interesting to see what Sergei does. I think the team that was on just after half-time, he made a couple of changes just after half-time. I thought that would be his starting lineup.
It looked stronger. It looked like a stronger lineup, I must admit.
So yeah, you know, it's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult, and you know, we're still gonna have to look at these players, and we'll have to look at the team and see who we think is going to start. Let's just go back to some of the comments. Huffy did put get Hero signed up, and then Harry put that he's signed for West Ham. So we can't have that one. Huffy did say thanks because he hadn't realised, and he's just trying to find a striker that could actually sign and you know, and get into our club, because as you said, Jan, it's difficult. I think we said this off air that if he gets an injury at Burnley, we're really in trouble because we've got nobody really to come in and take his place. So it's really, really difficult. So yeah, I don't know. It's difficult one for me. John says, didn't they also have Brownie a couple of weeks before you two? He's been on the 1904 twice recently.
Wembley.
I don't know, John.
Wembley,
yeah, that was a bit of a while ago, wasn't it? So Wembley was the one, John. It won a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, I take your point. I just, you know, I think to have him on the week after us was a little bit poor form, if I'm honest. I didn't ring up and say, you know, can we get Peter Taylor on this week because he was on theirs last week? I didn't do that because I think it'd be poor form. So that's just my opinion. You know, I might be wrong. I might just be being petty. I don't know. But that's my thoughts, and I'm quite entitled to them after all.
I thought he was really good when he was with us. I heard or I read people saying they thought it wasn't a very good podcast. I thought it was fine. I also didn't think it was as bad as they were going on. I think they were speaking the reality of it, what it is. What I don't agree with, you go out and spend 20-odd million on the Potnit, whatever you call him, which is what he was sort of saying, wasn't he? You need what's the point? He scored a lot, but when you look at his stats, it was last season only, wasn't it? Somebody was saying it's a bit like Chuba Akpom. He had one good season at Middlesbrough. That was all he had. You know,
yeah, so that's the thing. You know, you don't know what you're going to get with a player.
That's why I keep going on about blooming Kyle Joseph. If we need pace, we need press. He scored 8 goals last season. Andy was out injured, and when McBurney was injured, he came in and scored. I know he wouldn't have played every game, but he'd have given you 150% when he came in. You know, as Joffrey won't play every game, and what we're going to have to pay for somebody similar, we might as well have kept him.
I think we will get someone there,
right?
I do think we will get somebody, but it's making the stroke business. And I think one of the things we did really well, obviously, with the fee restriction last year, we made really good business decisions. And I'm worried because we want to see some lasting impact and lasting legacy. If this is if obviously the deals is the card that most people are expecting, we need to see some lasting legacy from this season. And if we go and splash all of the money we've got just on the playing team, we're not going to have any sort of we're not going to have anything to show for it, are we? So I think I would go
academy training ground,
I think I'd be going in for the last
on the other day.
I'd going for the last.
Sorry, we're all talking over each other. You're saying you're going for Dilap, Becca. You're saying Jan.
Well, I'm saying that I absolutely agree there has to be a legacy. You know, I asked him a question at that infamous Q&A about what had he invested into the academy, because regardless what you say about the Alams, they did invest, and maybe it was for a selfish reason. So I was asking about that land that's on County Road that they still own. But I was told, because people are saying, well, why won't he give us it? Evidently, it is nowhere near big enough. It's no good to build a new training ground, etc., and what they would want on. If I was them, I'd be talking to the East Riding Council and getting them to give us a really good deal, because I'm told again that the players don't actually want one in the middle of Hull. They'd be quite happy one on the way out, so you're going down the M62, because none of them live in Hull, let's be realistic. Very few. So on that sort of corridor, and getting the East Riding to give us a good deal on some land, and maybe that'll get Hull City Council to get their finger out and think, oh, heck, somebody else is doing something for that club, and it's our city. We need something.
You're right about the academy. I had my pupil in Lucas, who's a big Hull City fan. He goes to nearly all the home and away games, and we was chatting about it yesterday, and he was sort of saying, we had a chat about the alums, and I don't know, I said, if you look back at the alums and look at the money that we've made from players from when they was here, it shows that the academy was good, because, people like Jacob Greaves, Keane Lewis Potter, to name but two, Jared Bowen as well. We made some serious money off them coming through the academy, and I don't think the academy is as good as it was at the moment. People might shoot me down. I know we've signed McCarthy up to a longer term deal at the moment, and he could come good and he could be worth some money and things like that. But I do think we're lacking in the academy, and I think that when you're lacking in the academy, you end up spending quite a bit more money. And we talked, didn't we, about Brentford and what they'd obviously beat. What was the team, Jan? Come on, remind me, because my mind's gone to mush.
Frankfurt.
Yeah, they beat Frankfurt quite easily.
7-1 was it, something like that? Yeah.
And we got a loss against them, and it probably shows a little bit of the difference. But the thing that Brentford do well is they tend to bring players through and then sell them and then make a profit and then get somebody else through. So I do think I do think it's a bit of a thing for us, in the case that, as you say, if you're trying to build a legacy, then it's difficult because you're spending all the money on the playing staff. And, we have spent a lot of money up to now, and I know some of that money will be spread over a few seasons, so you don't lose all of that money straight away, and there will be some money left in the pot. But when you're saying about signing De Becker at 40 million quid at 120 grand a week, it's a fair bit of cash, isn't it?
It is a fair bit of cash, but I think personally would be better off going in for him on loan, not going in to buy. We have not got the money to buy an asset like that. I think
Chelsea want to sell him, though.
They do, but at the end of the day, you look at the season he had last year at Chelsea, and I know he had a few injuries. He's not really put himself into the shop window, so he needs another season to prove himself in the Premier League, in my opinion. Chelsea aren't going to get the premium that they want for him off the back of last season alone. So I think if we was able to get him on loan, Sergei's the sort of manager who could strike a tune out of the lap. I think he's somebody that would play well alongside McBurney. McBurney is the main man. He's
a different type of player, isn't Becker? He's much
different.
He's nippy and nifty, and
somebody putting pressure on McBurney to get McBurney out, rather than McBurney being your one you go into every week. You need somebody to be putting pressure on him to get him out.
I disagree, Paul, because I think when Sheffield United came up before and McBurney was with them, and he didn't have a particularly great season. His stats show that, but and this is going to sound really awful, he has got main character syndrome as Ollie McBurney. He is the main man. He needs to be the one that feels like he's best choice.
You're going to buy somebody for that. You want them to be pushing him to get him, rather than just to be an extra or playing on the bench.
Alongside of him, yeah. And
you're going to either play on the wing, or you're going to get McBurney ain't going to start, because we aren't going to be paying 120,000 or whatever it is a week for him to sit on
the wing. He's got to play on the wing, aren't he? So
he's got to play. Yeah. And if he's going to play, it's to me, he's better as a centre forward than a winger, to be quite honest. He's a big lad. He's got an half a goal. He'll take people on. He didn't have a particularly good season at Chelsea, but I don't know if they suit his style, to be quite honest. McBurney, I think if you're going to get another striker, you've got to have somebody who's going to be pushing McBurney out as well. Because I don't say McBurney should be out, but you don't want a striker who's going to sit on the bench and McBurney gets an injury, so you can bring him on, or you bring him on with 10 minutes to go and expect him to score. I think you need somebody up there who's going to push him as well, because otherwise you're just relying on Matt Burney again, aren't you? Because you have the other kids on the bench.
You are. You do.
So I think you need a decent striker. I wouldn't mind that, but I don't think they're going to pay his money. Whether get him on loan or
either, but I do think he didn't want to stay last time. I'm told, but I think a lot of that was to do with his girlfriend, and I don't think they're a couple anymore. I might be 100% wrong, so then it's just what I've heard. But certainly at the Player of the Year awards, he was saying he wasn't hanging around.
Let's get some people's comments up, because there's lots of people commenting different things. Louise says the new players need to start at some point. They can only prove themselves if they're on the pitch. John says Harry Maguire is no speed king, doesn't stop him being a good defender. For a centre-back, reading the game is more important than pace. You could be right, John. I'm not saying you're not right, but the Egan's pace is just not... I think Harry Maguire's a little bit quicker than him even.
And he's got more at the other end of the pitch as well, hasn't he?
He has. I do like John Egan. I like his passion, and, I'd be tempted to give him a try on Saturday, just because I think, his passion and his work rate got us through into the Premier League.
I don't think Man have got that much pace, have they? Got a little bit, but I don't think they're the paciest team in the league by a long way.
Well, it's the midfield worries me. Can you imagine Bruno, Bobby Maynard, and the other one again, and him that does all the modelling, that went from Chelsea, is it? Can you imagine them against our midfield? I'm going to get marmaladed.
He's no pace, though, has he, Fernandez? He's not no pace. He gets Regan Slater among him. Regan Slater can, he's got the pace to get around him.
When you're that good, that's the worry.
Let's get some more of these comments up, please. Simon says, what do you think about Brownie saying 20 million for Verpotnik?
I think it's ridiculous.
Was a no-brainer. I think that it's that situation, isn't it? The problem is that when you're in the Premier League and you've got promoted, clubs know you've got money. So a player that was possibly 10 million is now possibly 20 million, because they know you've got the money and they want to try and get the money out of you so that, they get some of your money. So I think that, that's my thoughts on it. I like John. He says, fair play. You lot are the best. And thank you very much for that, John. I will take that all night long.
And Swansea signed that kid from somewhere as well. Is it Southampton? That's Stewart. So I don't know if Potnick's going to start all the time. I think Stewart, I think he was injured at the weekend. I think he was injured before he signed or something. A bit like our players. But I think he's pushing him, because he's got a few good seasons, isn't he?
I'm sure there'll be some people that are watching the club site and watching Twitter tonight and seeing if anything has happened and seeing if we have got any new signings. I've not seen. I've just given it a little refresh. I haven't seen anything as yet. A few more comments.
I bought a roaming package for America so I could watch this every day.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, blooming did.
That'll cost you some money, John. Drop in the ocean to you, Jan, we know. Harry says, when you look at McBurney's stats in the Premier League, you wouldn't have him near the team. 1 in 10 striker. We ain't got any... Harry, I'm just going to say this to you, kid. We ain't got anybody else at the moment. There's nobody else there. So whether he's a 1 in 10 or whatever, he's our starter at the moment, unless they sign somebody in the next 24 hours or so. Louise says Delap scored 1 league goal last season with no assists. So there you go.
I don't think he was in the right.
Let me just put these 2 comments. Harry says McBurney's a 1 in 10. Louise says Delap scores 1 in the league last season, so McBurney's better, isn't he?
I think the thing is, though, before Liam Delap came to us, he hadn't been great. He hadn't been getting a start at Man City, had he?
No.
And Rosie gave him his chance, and it really, really moved him on. I mean, look at, to be fair, Ryan Giles didn't do well under Rosie. He left and went back to Borough for a bit, came back, and look what Sergei did for him. So that's not always a good sort of measuring stick, is it?
Delap did quite well
on all these new ones, right?
Delap did do quite well at Ipswich, Paul. Yes, he did. Just put a couple more of these comments up because Marshy says Delap is totally unrealistic. He's on over £100,000 a week at Chelsea, and they want at least 35 million for him. Huffy says Delap, he's a bit unreliable. He's a player maybe Sergei could get the best of, and I think that's what's been said here. So it is that situation of. Sometimes you need that different manager to bring. Yeah, the money's too much, but sometimes you do need that manager. What does that say? That Hernandez looks like he's in Hull. Saw a Jones plane go to Spain and back to England yesterday, but possibly £30 million for a player with an ongoing hernia injury is a huge risk. And these are the risks that we. These are the risks that we take, aren't they?
He'll fit 5 million more.
5 million more for Delap, and he's a proven Premier League player. He had a good season with Ipswich before he went to Chelsea.
And I might not have an hernia problem, which is one of them things.
Probably will have after a few weeks.
So Harry also says we need a different option, a big target man, and someone who can run in behind to complement McBurney. I agree. We do. The creativity is the thing that I was worried about most of all. And I think we've signed some good midfielders. I think we've signed some good defenders. I don't think we've signed anything really creative-wise too much at the moment. I think we need a bit more.
What about Cavalier then? Because he's still sort of in the... That's been bouncing around, isn't it?
Well, people who've watched this podcast before will know my opinion on that. And I'm just going to say, not for me, thank you very much. But if somebody else wants him, that's up to you. No, I just don't, I don't want him. I just don't think he'd come into this team and fit into this team. I think he'd upset this team, if I'm honest. That's what my thoughts are. I may be wrong, but that's my thoughts. And I'm as I say, always, I'm having my thoughts and I'm entitled to my opinion.
I think the thing about Cavalier is had an ACL injury, hasn't he, recently? And looking at Balumi and Miller, it's took him the best part of last season, to get back to fitness. So I personally would avoid that signing.
Yeah.
If we don't want to come, why are we going after somebody? Clearly don't want to be here, or his dad don't want him to be here because his dad's his agent. He's going to mess up the dressing room. Same with throwing about Vardy the other day. Well, you want Rebecca Vardy within 100 miles of you, would you?
Jesus, no chance.
There we go. These are the thoughts of us on Tiger Talk. You're on Hull and Back Podcast and Humberwave Radio. Good to have you tuned in. Don't forget to get your comments into 01482 772 663. As always, we're in association with thecarmusgo.co.uk. If you want to sell your car or your van and you want to make it easy for yourself rather than having to go advertise it yourself, then go to thecarmusgo.co.uk and they'll buy it off you. For pound notes, nice and easy. Some more comments coming through.
Any pound notes anymore, Adey. They went out a long time ago.
Oh, I'm behind the times, John, aren't I? Have I got any in my cupboard? I don't know. I might have. Huffy says City have got money to spend. I'd sign Shelder up at Benfica for 40 million. He's dynamite. You may have a different opinion. Simon Wilson says Premier League defenders will hand McBurney up every game, so he has to be disciplined. It's true that. It is true. Brown said he'd watched him play versus Man City, and Vopotnik came on as a sub in that game.
That's one game, though, isn't it?
Ian Templeman says, don't think Brownie had the right to say what he did about Vopotnik. Let's talk about the player, but not his price tag.
I agree.
Darren England's the ref for Saturday, says Louise.
And
the big lad from Millwall.
Who was on the VAR? It said tonight who was on the VAR. It's somebody else that were. That's going to be the killer, isn't it? You can't jump up and celebrate because you're going to wait to see if it's really a goal.
Well, I'm still jumping up, Jan. I saw that VAR is going to be a little bit more scaled back this season. They're only going to use things that are an actual, genuine mistake, and if it really needs to be done. I saw that earlier on Sky Sports. The big lad from Milburn, Corburn, is ideal, is what Ian Templeman says. Fleming from Burnley says Tim.
Yeah.
Harry says would definitely go for Fleming if we have the chance to sign him. And we're up to date with all the comments. Thanks for all your comments. Keep them coming to 01482 772 663, or you can put your comment up on the YouTube or Twitter. Andrew Scott says, I hope we can get some strikers in. A couple of seasons ago, we were hanging on, and we ended up going for Pedro from the non-attached list because we couldn't get anyone in. I can't see that happening, but I'll feel better once they're in. And that is the thing, isn't it? You know, it's that worry now of waiting for somebody to get in. And we've been in this position before where we haven't had one in, and getting them like 2 days before you starting game. They're probably not going to start against Manchester United, are they?
No, and that's worrying.
That is the worry.
Well, the thing is, I mean, it's all right getting a striker, but how many of these strikers are about? I mean, Haaland is the top one. He scored 27 goals last year for a team that probably created loads of chances. There isn't that many top strikers about. People from your midfield and your defence to score goals as well. We need our midfielders to step up and score some goals. I mean, they didn't score over many last year. The defenders probably scored even less. You need them to step up. Because, I mean, Gabriel for Arsenal, he scores a few goals, doesn't he? You know, you want these people to go for corners and be at least getting chances to score. And it's a thing we don't seem to do a lot of. And I think that hurts us more than out else. You know, especially if you're relying on Matt Bairney to score all the goals.
Let me ask this question then, Paul, to everybody that's watching or listening. Where are your goals coming from this season at the moment? Not when we get signed somebody. Where are you getting the goals from at the moment? I'll ask you that question now, Jan.
Well, I've got to say McBurney, aren't I? And then I'm going to probably say Crooks, maybe. Slater might chip in. I'm going to say something unpopular now. I need to see Balumi play consistently well, game in, game out. And actually, I'm not just picking on Balumi. I'm picking on all of them, whether they're the ones that have made the step up or the new ones. We can't judge them till maybe October, certainly after the first break and beyond, to see who can really kick on. But we were waxing lyrical about Zambrano. We ain't even seen the bloke play, and he's going out on loan, isn't he, evidently?
He's going out on loan, evidently, yeah.
Yeah. So
it's a strange one, isn't it? We are a strange club.
We did him at Maribor because he owns that club anyway, so we could make sure they didn't sell him. Why did we bother with that then? Other than maybe the level of competition ain't great. But
it is very strange.
We need to wait and see for all of them, as I say, including the ones that have made the step up. And that goalkeeper was brilliant on Saturday, and I'll give you that. But let's see if he's still brilliant after 10 games, because we can all play a blinder for one game, can't we? Well,
let's hope he is brilliant for a lot of games. I'm going to say, Jan,
it does look the best buy. I have to agree. Yeah.
You said earlier that we've been agreeing too much recently, and I agree with you. I think Mo Balumi's got to step up. I do think he's got to play better and play more consistently. So there we go. We've agreed again.
I know Paul is, but I'm not a Miller fan either. I wouldn't slate him on social media. But how on earth we've kept him and let KJ go, I just do not know.
You're all entitled to your opinions. I think probably KJ was maybe worth a bit more, and that might be the reason why. Becca, where's the goals coming from?
This season, I would say from McBurney, Balumi, Giles with the assists. Obviously not scoring, but definitely getting them assists in again this season. I can see that coming. And Stroud's scored some good goals when he was at his previous club. So I think once he's got a chance to get a run out and get a run of games together, I think it could be interesting. I'd like to see us bring some more creative attacking options in, and a decent attacking midfielder or somebody just to sit behind McBurney. Regan Slater couldn't score a goal to save his life at times over the last couple of seasons, so I'm not expecting him to make great shakes in terms of goals. But I do think he'll press.
When he does score usually a storming goal when he does score them, yes.
Yeah.
Right, great. Let's have your thoughts then, Paul. Where's the goals coming from?
I think all the team need to chip in. I really do. I don't, obviously Matt Burney being the centre forward, you expect him to get the most chances. But Balumi, Miller, whoever they play, they've got to step in and, take the chances. Maybe have a few more shots, to be quite honest, and see what happens. Because, deflection here, a deflection there, a fumble by the keeper, or anything. But we just need to get more people scoring. To rely on Matt Burney, if that's our reliance this season, we may as well go down now because he ain't going to score that many. He scored, 19 last year. He's got to score. He's got to score that many.
I'm hoping. I said the other day that I'm hoping that McBurney scores 10. And I think if he scores 10, he'll have had a really good season.
I agree.
Ian Templeman says, didn't we have around 18 different scorers last season? Andrew Scott says at the moment the goals are coming from McBurney penalties. Say again.
Two of the goal scorers were here, weren't they? Now we've sent back Gelder, but he's injured for a couple of games.
Yeah. Andrew Scott says at the moment the goals are coming from McBurney penalties. Balumi could get a few, and then maybe Crooks. Can't see anyone else being reliable for goals, unfortunately, is what he says. Let's have a look what Harry says. Set pieces, we've signed a full team of giants. Well, set pieces is something we talked about on Saturday, and we do need to get better at set pieces. Because I think that could be a big win for us in the Premier League if we get that right. And Arsenal have proved that, haven't they? From what they've done at set pieces, we need to try and get them right because you can score goals against these Premier League sides in set pieces. Nakamura, if we can get him, is an excellent signing. That was Ian. I've got to go up a little bit and say, Marshy says, looks like Fortini, the fullback, has knocked us back. We've had a few knockbacks this season, haven't we? We certainly have.
It says it's gone to
Torino.
Torini, is it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Torino, that's it. Yeah.
Mendy could bag a few. Unlucky not to score on Saturday. It's a game of 67. And Joffy can score, says Louise, and Joffy can score. He's just got a little knock at the moment, which Joffy I'm sure will help us out. If we can, once he's fit. Sorry, that's the word that I'm looking for. So it's been a good night up to now on Tiger Talk here on To Hull and Back podcast and Humberwave Radio. Thanks for all your messages tonight. Thanks for all your comments. It's been really good for you to get in touch. Now, what I want to know from you. What is your starting lineup for Saturday? Paul, shall we come to you first?
Well, the keeper's obvious because we've only got one, really, haven't we? So Phillips ain't going to start. So it's obviously the keeper's going to start. I ain't certain. I think, obviously, the two centre-backs, I'd probably play the two that finished, the young lad and Mendy. Because I didn't think they look a bad pairing. He's a big lad. And I think they've probably got a little bit more pace. Not that Man United particularly scare me with the pace. Obviously, I know Rashford's got pace, but he probably won't start, won't Rashford? And, but Mbumo isn't slow, but I think we can match him. Left back, I wasn't over impressed with Giles, to be honest. To be honest, on Saturday, but he looks the only option realistically. So I was even less impressed with the kid who come on. What's his name? Target, yeah.
He's been a target for a while, hasn't he?
We kept falling on the floor, didn't he? I think he come down 3 times.
He has been a target for a while, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Probably about 30 years, I think he's been a target. I'm sure it's something like that.
Yeah, I think it's
sorry, the jokes don't get any better.
I probably would start Giles, but I don't think he played that well on Saturday. Maybe because he likes Miller in front of him and he had somebody he didn't know particularly. So I suppose if you play Giles, you've got to play Miller. Louis Coyle, again, it seems the only person who you can put right back into, realistically. So probably he'd start. Midfield, I think, Crooks and Slater. And I'd probably play the kid who played up front, the tall kid from Norway. I think he'd play in the midfield. And then if I'm playing Jack, I think you've got to play Miller.
That's
Jens.
Jens,
You've got about 13 in your team now, Paul.
You what?
You've got about 13 in your team now.
No, you haven't.
You aren't really. No, you haven't.
We haven't got 13 players, have we?
we have got quite a few players. Ones.
No, I think it's somewhat like that. I mean, as I say, it's going to be a hard game. I'd maybe be tempted to play 5-4-1, to be honest, and
I'd
just
play
soak
10
up pressure. Because if you can stop Fernandes for them, you stop half of their team. To be quite honest, he's their main man. I mean, they're looking worried that he might be going. Obviously, I don't think he'll go before Saturday, but he's their main man. If you can stop him, you've got a fair chance. I know they've got some attackers in Boom, or is it Sesko, and is it Cunha as well? They're decent players, but they're a bit in and out. Sometimes
they might be injured. They're
in and out, Man United. And I think they do give a chance. I can't remember the last time they kept a clean sheet for, I think even in all the pre-season friendlies, I think they did win 1-5-0, but other than that, I think they've let goals in nearly every game. So I think we will get a few chances. It's whether we can take them. They'll get a few. It depends who takes them. They're obviously big favourites to win, but I think it's a game we could maybe get some out of it if we play like we did last season and make it hard for teams. And that's what I think you've got to do. We've got to beat the teams who are our class as our standard, your Coventry's, Ipswich's, maybe Newcastle to be fair this year, because they've got a new manager and half the team's leaving, aren't they? But they are looking at signing players, so I don't know if they'll be that bad. But it's going to be a tough whole season. I'd settle for a draw and tell Man U not to come.
Okay, we'll come across to you now. Becca, who's your team for Saturday? Anything different to Paul?
I would go Salakis in goal, and I'd probably go with a back five. I would start Coyle. I think it's only right. It's the right thing to do. I don't think anyone's really established themselves at right back. The new lads that gonna do off. He's only had a week with the lads on it, so I'd probably start with Coyle. I would have the two new lads alongside Egan. I think if you're going to throw both of them in, you need a good experienced head in there, and I would go Egan over Adey. Giles at left back, so playing with like a wing back sort of situation. In the middle, I'd have Crooks, Slater, and Hertadal. And then I would have Bellumi, McBurney.
That's it.
I'd prefer not to go with Miller, but
you can't though, because you've already got 11 on the field.
Have I done all?
Yeah, have I gone mad there? Yeah, you have. Yeah. If we can get
we'll have more chance of winning with 12.
We will, yeah. Or a bus in front of the goal, though.
Hey, and VAR's not that good, so they might not even notice, might they?
No, they wouldn't, to be fair.
Jan, seeing as Becca's had 12, you can only have 11. Carry on.
Well, I'll have the big Greek goalkeeper, and I'll have Jala and Louis Coyle. I just think he'll start Egan and Ajayi. I just do. I think he might. If he goes 5, he'll probably put Mendy in. Not sure. I'd probably save them for Stoke, where actually, if we win, it's a bonus. If we do, well, so what? But we can try them out there, can't we? I'd have Crooks, Slater. Are we going to have somebody else in time? I don't know. What's the other one? Because I remember I've been away for a month. Is it Moretti? Was it? I'm going to say Moretti. That's a bit allowed.
Moretti is injured.
Oh,
yeah.
Can't have him then. Right, can't have him then. Let me go up front then. So I mean, I'm like you. I really don't want to play Liam Miller. I just, as a person, I admire him and that, but I'm not a fan. So I'd have Bellumi and I'd have obviously Bernie. And who's the one that we thought was? They said he was coming in as a left wing back, but actually it's more. Sorry, a left full back. It's more a left wing back.
Stroud.
It's Stroud.
Yeah, maybe I might have a go with him. How many have I got now?
I think you've done it. That's your 11.
I might be short one in the middle, but I just can't see him changing that back lot altogether.
Well, he can't change it too much.
I'll tell you, man, in a minute. I'm just going to get some of the comments up. Ian says, in 24-25, who would have thought Wood would score as many goals? We are going to play like them. Hopefully we do as well. And that McBurney could then surprise us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lee Walker says, let's hope that the stadium improvements get finished on time. I think they've got to be, Lee.
That's
I don't think they can do anything.
What the heck's going on?
Hernandez is in Hull. Pictures have been posted, says Ian.
And Mike White confirmed that.
Harry says 3-4-3. Salakis, Harrington, Ajayi, Mendy, Coyle, Slater, Dial, Giles, Stroud, McBurney, and Ballooney.
Yeah, I won't argue with that one. That's quite a good one.
Yeah, I won't argue with that.
And Ian says if Shaw is playing, just past to Ballooney, and they'll be down to 10 men very quickly. My team, I'm going to start with Salakis in goal. Definitely, the only player he can play at right back is Louis Coyle because, he's the only one we've got. So, yeah, we're going to play Louis Coyle. Left back, I might be tempted to put Stroud at left back, if I'm honest with you, because he can play left back. And I've not been... I haven't been impressed with Giles pre-season for coming back. I think he needs to come back quicker. When you see him go forward, he runs far faster forward than he does when he's running backwards. And coming backwards, as we saw from... let me think now. I need to get my names into my mind. And they sometimes go because it's an age thing. Do you know what I mean? Carl Joseph, when he run back and saved that goal on the line, he run back as quickly as he runs forward. And Giles needs to learn to do that for me. That's what's lacking in his game.
Yeah.
Not running back as quickly as he needs to. So I'd be tempted to play Stroud at left back because I think he can play that. And Target, obviously, as we've said, it's one of them you just don't know with Target. He's obviously been at Middlesbrough on loan last season. They've not signed him. He's come to us. And, I just don't know. So, probably Stroud at left back. And I'd be tempted to start with the two new lads at centre-back, Harrington and Mendy, because I thought they looked quite good when they came on. I would definitely have Regan Slater in the midfield, and I would definitely have Big Crooksy in there as well. Who's going to be my third one? Probably Dahl, to be quite honest with you. I think he's probably got to be my third one. And then I'd probably play Miller, Balloumi, and McBurney. That'd be my front three. And I think that's my team that I would play for on Saturday. You can disagree with me. Put it in the comments. We've got about 4 minutes left on the show. Lee Walker said he was at...
Can I just say something, Adey?
Yes.
Can I just ask, because our view on VAR, John and I were having a discussion, because, it's a blooming long flight coming home and all that crap. And we were talking about VAR, and I said, oh, yeah, well, I won't be able to jump up when we score. And he said, no, he thinks the other way around. He thinks that it might help McBurney because he gets pulled all over the place, and he thinks it might help us, whereas I'm thinking it might go against us. But John seems to think it, certainly in the attacking box, when we're attacking, it might help us just because he's big, he seems to get penalised, doesn't he?
Yeah,
no,
it's a fair comment. Lee says that it was in Santis in Anlaby was Hernandez. Jack says that Middlesbrough didn't choose not to sign him. They couldn't afford to sign him. Is what he's saying. I don't know whether it was that. You'll know better than me. You'll probably keep around the club better than I do. As I said to you earlier on in the show, Andy Fee will be at the training ground tomorrow for Sergei's press conference, his first press conference before Hull City going to the Premier League starting on Saturday. He'll let us know what's been said at that press conference, and we'll have some of that on Humberwave Radio, hopefully on our Twitter feed and things like that. So we'll let you know some of the things that was said in that press conference as well. What's going to be the score on Saturday, Paul?
So I knew he'd ask me. I'm going to go 1-1.
Good.
I think let a goal in. I think probably they will score, but I mean they could hammer us, to be fair. But I don't think they're that good a team. To be quite honest, they'll be up there, but they are. I think there's a lot better teams in the league than them.
Jan, let's come to you now.
Oh, I don't like to say it, but I think we're going to lose 3-1.
Okay, Becca.
Do you know what? I am going to be optimistic, and I'm probably.
I was wrong. Absolutely delighted.
I'm going to be the one in Cloud Cuckoo Land and go 1-0 City.
Well done for being in Cloud Cuckoo Land, Becca. Harry definitely in Cloud Cuckoo
well
Land.
Done,
He says 3-0 to Man U. He might be right. Do you know what score I'm going to go for?
Could be a
1-0.
I'm going to go 1-1. Yes, I certainly am. It's going to be a 1-1er on Saturday. And
1-1. Wait for it.
Yeah, it was, Jan. Yeah. We would all take 1-1 at this precise moment in time. We would definitely take that.
Yeah.
Thanks for all your comments tonight. Thanks for all your watching. There's a couple more comments coming through. Remember 1974, says Tim. It was the year I was born, so I don't remember it.
74.
You'll remember it well, Paul, don't you? He was like, my God, what the hell have I done?
Was that you, was it?
That was me, yeah. Jack says his head says 2-1 United, heart says 2-1 to City. Sarah says, I just popped up an head, you say 1-1. I did, you're right.
Is that your wife?
No, it's not my wife. She won't comment. She's not interested at all, Jan. Ian says, be ready for the overzealous stewards in the North Stand on Saturday. It's you've got to sit down if you're in the seating area now. You can't stand up. Tim says 2-0. I presume that's to City. Sarah said she come on at the right time. Yeah, you certainly did, Sarah.
Yeah.
And whatever the score, it doesn't define our season, says Louise. I think that's where we finish tonight. Thanks for coming on, Paul.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Good to have you back in England, Jan.
Well, you're welcome. I can't wait for Saturday.
Me neither. And nice to see you too, Becca.
You too, Adey. Up the Tigers.
Up the Tigers. And we shall be back next Wednesday, 7 o'clock here on to Hull and Back Podcast and on Humberwave Radio. Have a great weekend. Up the Tigers. And let's hope that we can get a reasonable result out of Manchester United. Have a good week. We'll see you next week.